Hi Nathaniel, it looks like you did a great job on this test. I'm just going to go through it with you question by question so that I can just give you feedback on all of the different questions here. So question 1, everything's perfect there. You putting sine 45 into your calculator, and I like that you're leaving 4 decimal places. That's the proper form, so that's perfect. For question 2, using your calculator to find theta when you're given the sign, and that's using the sine inverse. So the sine inverse on your calculator, which is the second function of the sine button. And so for 0.9092, you have you've got sine 65.4. What you want to do there is actually write theta equals 65.4 degrees. You don't need the sign anymore, you've already used it, okay? So the same thing for part B. Instead of cosine, write theta equals, and instead of tan, write theta equals. That's the only thing wrong. You've got the right answers there, but just write it in the correct form. It's really important, okay? All right, so for number 3, labeling the sides. According to the angle theta here, then this is the adjacent, this is the opposite, that's the hypotenuse, so that one's perfect. For part B, we have Pythagorean theorem, which you handled just perfectly. That one's finding the long side, so you add the squares, and this one's finding the short side, so you subtract the squares. And as one of my students likes to call it, you d-square to find x at the bottom, or in other words, take the square root of the answer that you got, and you did it great. Now for number 2, these are communications questions. So listing 2 things that you see that are wrong with the triangle that I gave you in the question. You got the first one, that the hypotenuse is smaller than the adjacent side, and you and I talked about that and said that that's one really good way to check and make sure you haven't made an error. So obviously the person who solved this triangle has made an error. The other comment that I was looking for you to make is that you have a smaller angle across from a larger side. So this angle going with this side, since that angle is bigger, the 48, than the 41, then this side must be bigger than the bottom side. And so that's what we're looking for, is that we don't have the smallest angle across from the smallest side. There we go. So that's what I was looking for your second part of point B. Okay, so over to page 2, and you gave me the work for part C here for question 1A and B. So it's asking you to find the unknown sides that are marked as X, and I noticed in part B that I forgot to put an X, but you figured that out, that it was the only side that was not solved for, so that's great. 1A, we definitely have a cosine law here, so we've got cosine of theta, cosine of 25 equals x over 12.5, and so your answer turns out to be 11.3, which is still smaller than 12.5, so that's a completely reasonable answer. So there's no alarm bells going off there that can't be right, so that's perfect. And for 1B, finding the adjacent side to the angle 38 degrees, you're finding adjacent over hypotenuse, and so solving by taking cos 38 times 7.8 gives you, where's your answer for this one? I don't see your answer. Maybe it's on the next page. I'll have a look over there. Maybe you just forgot to write what x equals. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, let's go over to the next page and have a look. I don't see that final answer there. I'm not sure where that ended up. Okay, so here's the page with part C, question 2. And when you're being asked to find the unknown angle, you have to identify for part A that you have adjacent over opposite, and so it's a tan angle, and so you're going to take opposite over adjacent, 8.9 over 17.5 like you did, and you've got the angle 26.9. Don't put meters because it's degrees when it's an angle, okay? For B, we've got adjacent over hypotenuse, so we've got the cosine inverse here, so you wrote that out great. And theta equals 53.1, and don't put centimeters, but degrees there, okay? All right, and this one for part D, you had to draw the diagram, which you did. Don't forget to mark that it's a right angle triangle because none of this trigonometry will actually work if you don't have a right angle triangle. 42 degrees is the angle that the sun rays make with the ground, so that's perfect right there. That's your 42. And opposite over adjacent gives us a ratio of tan x over 15. And so tan 42 times 15 gives us an answer of 13.5 for that side. Perfect. And our last question, number 2, solving for x, where x is the hypotenuse, and we're given 7 as the opposite. So we have sine 42 equals 7 over x, or x equals 7 over the sine of 42. And it looks like you have solved that one perfectly as well with 10.5, so that one's great. So overall, a really great job. Just a couple of little things. Be careful about things like units and putting degrees instead of centimeters. Make sure that you've written your final answer, like in 1B where we couldn't find it. And then just the communication question, the second part of that one in part B. Otherwise, perfect. So great job.